Well, this should be working. Hopefully you all can hear me, and please do let me know if you can hear me. I think it's working, but yeah, let me know. Hey, everybody, want to say hello, of course, to first and foremost to Mr. Red Jack 12, who was here an hour early. Hopefully I'll see you a little later coming in, Brian, but if not, that's okay. I appreciate you being here and doing your traditional welcome. Likewise, hello to you, Mike Davis, who was here and is not currently. And of course, Comic Art Boston, I appreciate the you dropping in just to leave that comment while you're traveling. Really appreciate you. And of course, that was definitely not necessary, but I do appreciate it very much. So thank you. And hi, Vivian. And we got Marcus. What is up, Marcus? Jason Ladwig in the house. How you doing, man? Ricky, the Rickster. Good evening to everybody. And he hopes here. Let me show what he's saying. Hope that the get together was a blast. It really was. It really was a lot of fun. Tired, I'm not gonna lie. I only got in less than 2 hours ago, so after a 6-hour drive. So yeah, it's and we didn't get much sleep for the last couple of days. So yeah, that doesn't help. But it was definitely a lot of fun. And I like I've mentioned in a previous show, I hope a lot of you guys at some point get to do the same type of things. You know, they're really enjoyable, and it's just great fun to meet people and look at art. Excellent. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. And g'day, David. Thank you again, as always. Appreciate you to see you here as you always are every week. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you to you too, CJ. Really appreciate you. And as you as well, Mr. Easy Go Lucky. Good to see you as well. Thank you, darling daughter. Thank you. Hey, Emmy Comics. Good to see you, man. And so Marcus, so let me see here. There you go. Not for Iserman, it's for the collector. Very unique. That's the number I always used if it was available when I played sports. So that's what I always stuck with. And that's it. Yeah. But Iserman, yes, and a slew of like Hall of Fame baseball players have had 19 and in other sports as well. So I'm in good company. And what do we got here? Oh, Arwen is saying hello to everybody. Hey, there you go. Hey, Brian, good to see you, man. And what do we got here? Of course, the traditional hellos from CJ to the wife and daughter. Everybody's saying hello. Yo, what is up, Ascani son? Good to see you, man. Thank you for tuning in as always. Really appreciate you, bud. And anybody else, whether it be look at that. It's exactly right, Jason. If you agree to buy one, I might just do it. But no, I'm kidding. I just did it for myself for the fun of it. I just found out you could do this kind of stuff recently. I figured, okay, I'll make myself a couple of T-shirts and a baseball hat. But no, so again, thank you, everybody. I do want to mention one thing before I bring in my guest, which I do have a guest that I had to go out and ask because nobody came to me and said, hey, I'd like to be on. But that's cool. Not holding against any of you. Just wanted to mention. So tonight's show, the whole premise of it is because way back in the first half of the 2000s, there was a short period of time where I decided, I was going through all this inventory, my dealer inventory, and as I went through it, I started thinking, you know what? Like I always dealt in stuff that I wished, that the type of stuff I would keep for myself if I could afford to keep everything, and right, if I had bottomless pockets. And so I always thought, every time I let go of this stuff, I never, for the most part, see it again. And so I one day thought, you know what, I'm going to start doing photocopies. I started making myself full size photocopies of a lot, not all, but a lot of the art that I had in inventory. So I figured, once the inventory was sold, at least I'd have these photocopies to look back at one day, 10, 20 years in the future, whatever. And that was the premise behind this. So eventually I got tired of having to go down to the copy shop and do that. So I stopped. But all told, I probably got 250 to 300 photocopies made. So I actually have enough to do, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these show and tell type shows. I'm not sure if I should do that many. And I'm just so you guys know, I'm fair warning. I didn't go through the whole stack of photocopies and decide, hey, let me pick and choose to try to make like a fair balanced selection of like, panel pages, covers, splashes, or whatever. I had them in a mostly in alphabetical order by artist, and I didn't have time to do the whole picking and choosing. So I just started from the top, from the beginning, and started doing them, picking them all off from the top. And because there's potential to do multiple episodes, until I run out of these photocopies that I've scanned, I'm thinking maybe we'll do these shows try to keep them to like 60 to 90 minutes, just to sort of make them quicker. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that. I don't think there's any reason to go longer. Like tonight, I've loaded up more than enough images that I wouldn't be able to get through them tonight anyways. But I figure if we'll try to keep this to, like I said, 60 to 90 minutes tops. And then I'm going to schedule next week's show is going to be part 2 of this inventory show and tell. But after that, I'll do a few different types of things over the coming weeks. Because in case I do decide to do 5 or 6 episodes and try to show all of these photocopies, scans of the photocopies, I certainly don't want to do it 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row, But this week for sure, tonight and next Sunday, it's what we'll be doing. But let me know if you guys are cool with just sort of keeping it to 60 to 90 minutes. I think that's good, especially since I'm kind of beat. And my guest tonight is also a bit tired. Been through some illness recently. So, so let me know what you guys think. But let's get the show on the road. And with me tonight, let me bring him in, my buddy. And you guys, a lot of you guys know him, of course. He has been in the live chat for most of my shows and been very, very active along with you, other active participants. Longtime collector going back to the 90s like myself, and a fair bit of you as well. Please welcome my pal, Hart Rieckhof.
Hey guys, how's it going?
So guys, Hart, I had to ask him. The truth is, I've been asking him for a little bit while if he'd want to come on a show and do an episode of something with me. And you guys may remember, I actually was publicly asking him during one of my shows if he would, I was saying he should come on after he revealed to all of us that he was one of those guys with the 100+ commissions and like 25. What do we want to call it, Hart? Bad experiences.
Abstracts. Abstract experience. What?
There you go. So that's it. So I figured this is not what Hart, what I want Hart to do, but I wanted somebody in studio, and since nobody else wanted to come on with me, or at least told me they wanted to come on with me,
I'm the sucker.
He's the sucker who said yes to me. Very, very nice of you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I even showered, cologned, Batman underwear. I'm ready.
We're ready to go. Okay, excellent. No smell-o-vision anyway, so nobody can test you out to see if you're telling the truth.
Oh wait. Hey, anybody?
And yeah, see, that's the old joke. But I used to love that show, Brian. Heart to Heart. I used to love it. Yeah, look at you guys are coming out. Yeah, learning the hard way. There you go.
Hart Foundation.
Yes, look at this, Marcus. I don't know if he's just trying to make heart jokes to your name, or just because he's trying to say, I love you. I choose you. Like last.
I think he's coming on to me. Marcus, good job.
That could be it. That could be it. Because the hearts got bigger with as he typed, you know. So his love grew for you. You see.
This is an R-rated show.
Yes. Well, I have said I've set my settings on YouTube so that it's not for kids. So anything can happen, right? And
No kids allowed. Well,
says hello to you.
Hey, CJ, how you doing?
Good to see you again, as always, CJ. And all right, so guys, why don't we get into it? And again, I just want to warn you, and especially for you, Mike Davis, in case you do pop in again, because I know you're always into the high end stuff, whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I know you in particular just stick around to want to see high end stuff. I'm telling you right now, certainly for tonight's show and tell, it's pretty much all lower end stuff. I mean, and this is the kind of stuff that I certainly back in the old days I used to refer to as my low end inventory. Now, the interesting thing is that's what I want to see comments about, is because I still see. There you go. Hey, Mike, how you doing, bud? I used to say, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, I think of this stuff as my low end inventory because at the time, most of this stuff sold for like, I don't know, 150 to 250 bucks. Most of it, not all of it, but most of it, you know. So I bought it in that range and I sold it in that range. So to me, when I look through these scans, I still see the stuff that way. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I know with the passage of time, it has gained in value a lot. So most of these pieces, if not all of them, I guess they're into the 4 figures plus now, right? But I just still look at them as just, you know, my cheap low end 3-digit, you know, priced artwork or whatever. And so yeah, so don't be expecting, you know, high end whatever up the wazoo. That's not going to be happening. So just wanted to show it anyways and see what you guys think, what kind of comments you have to think, and keeping in mind that the fact that it was mostly purchased and resold at that range of like 150, 250, something in there, you know.
Hey, Ruben.
Yeah,
I got my special art looking glasses right now. So
nice, man. As long as they help you see better, because you definitely do not look better.
Not at all. Not at
all. Sounds good. Hoping to see your yeah. So here's the thing. I haven't looked through all of the photocopies that I made of this stuff, Mike. So I can't even remember by heart if I would have, no pun intended, if I would have I know that that's something I would have photocopied for sure. I would have wanted to keep that, but I haven't been able to go through them all yet to verify that I did indeed make one. But the thing is, I may not have it. If I don't, it's not because I didn't like it or whatever. If I don't have that one, it's only because I only started doing this whole photocopy idea for a short period of time. So it might have been like a year or so before I kind of got tired of, going to the copy shop and making the copies. So I don't remember if I made the copies after I'd already sold you that page, man. So, if it's not in this selection or whatever, that's the reason. But definitely not in tonight, because that's Swan, and that would be coming alphabetically later in a future episode. Anyways, it wouldn't be tonight.
Hey, Ruben, what made you make the copies in the first place? I mean, was it just to keep inventory or what?
No. Because I said, like, again, my primary reason for sort of wanting to deal art was because I thought I want to do something. Like, I'd been in collectibles most of my life, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to see if I could do something long term that I loved, something that I was passionate about for a living, right? That with me as remaining self-employed. And when I started collecting art and sort of the whole eBay thing started in the 90s, I started by buying a few pieces for myself. And then I don't know, like I'd buy a few pieces and I'm like, oh, these are really cool. But then I'd be like, I don't know, like they're so random. I was like, do I really need to keep these? I'll put them back out there and see what else I can buy with that money. And so I'd put them back up on eBay, and I would put them up with better scans. Most people were using crappy photos, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I put up with proper scans. Of course, I didn't have a large scanner in those days, but it was a small scanner. So I'd go make quality photocopies,
Right.
Reduced 8.5 by 11, and I'd scan those. That's it. Now,
Because I asked, because most people do the go to the San Diego or any other con with photocopies instead of the art.
Oh, right.
In the portfolios,
Right.
So I thought that was the case with you, is you just want to show it off, and
Yeah. No, good idea though, especially since in 2001, like a lot of people know this story. Well, I don't know, some people know the story. In 2001, I was ignorant about how the rules worked with customs and all that, right? Traveling across the border. And I was taking, up until 2001, I was traveling to cons with art, right? Portfolios. And then on my way back from a convention in New York in 2001, driving, right? So it was the land border, not the airport. Long story short, I was in the truck with a comic book dealer from Montreal who had gone to New York to do sales, and we were in the truck together. Whatever, the customs, the Quebec customs people, they weren't happy with the way he does his inventory. Whatever, they started telling him, look, we're gonna seize your truck. And suddenly I was like panicking, like, oh my God, they're gonna seize this truck now. What's happening? I'm like, and I'm like, well, I told the officer, I was like, hey, sorry, but I have my knapsack and my belongings in the front seat there behind the passenger seat. Can I just go get them before you take the truck? And the guy was like, well, you have stuff? You have personal stuff? Oh, show me the stuff. Let me see your stuff. Here we go. I knew I was done for, right? And brought in the knapsack and with my portfolio. Of course, he grabs the portfolio right away. He's like, oh, what's this? Tell me about all this, right? And whatever. I had to play dumb. And next thing you know, whatever, he sees my art. My art was gone for, I don't know, 3 months. I had to pay thousands of dollars to get it back. Whatever. It's a fiasco, But because of that happening, I did think, maybe I'll make copies, like you said, for that idea, because some guys do that. And I'll travel with copies. But then I thought, like, it's not the same. It's not, it tells you what I have, but it's not like fun, like looking at the original, right? So I just just stopped traveling with art, and it sucks because even to this day, not that I've been going to cons much in recent years, but when I've gone, I see everybody there. Like I meet up with everybody, and everybody's got a portfolio of art and looking at the art, right? It's fun. I get to look at theirs, and I can't show them anything of mine, right? It's just because I'm empty-handed.
You're sad.
Yeah, man. So it sucks. So I did it simply because I knew that being my inventory, not my collection, right? I'd buy it and I'd eventually sell it all off. But I liked it. I only dealt in stuff that I would have bought as a collector anyways, if I could afford to keep it, right? So I liked everything that I dealt in. So I thought, okay, it might be fun if I just photocopy it all, or the ones I really like. And at least one day, because these will be sold soon enough. And then one day I can look back and I'll still have these full-size photocopies, right? That I can at least look and remind myself of the pages that I had, whatever. And yeah, that's why I did it, so.
Mr. Rejak says that you should have slipped him a white envelope. You know what I mean?
Now we got the deep cavity search. Yeah, thankfully not yet. But I was getting scared though.
I'd pay for that.
The rubber glove snap. Behind the white envelope with some coin. Yeah. Then I'd probably get the cavity search. Moose blood. Oh, that's funny. But no, so that's basically the story. But like I said, then I got tired of having to go to the copy shop because it was far away from me, and so I just stopped doing it. So I got like 250. It looks like 250 to 300 pieces copied, and then I stopped, So that's it. So that's why I figured, hey, this might be fun to kind of look through and remind myself of what I had in inventory in those days, and see what other people think. Because like again, to me, I look at it as in my head every time I look at this stuff, I'm like, oh, this is just my low end crap or whatever, because that's how I used to think of it back then. It was cheap. It was so cheap. But I want to see now, given the passage of time, what will people who watching think? Because to a lot of people watching today, they weren't around back then, right? They've only come in the last several years or whatever. So to them, they've only known this type of stuff as, 4-digit and above type stuff, So to them, they don't necessarily see it as low end crap,
So was this like the very beginning of your dealer business?
No.
Okay.
This was probably, I want to say, I don't know, 5 years into it, 4 or 5 years into it. Yeah.
So you were kind of, already situated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it was just a random thing. Like I said, it was for no other reason than because I had realized, hey man, I've been dealing art for a few years now. And wow, I had scans. I still had old scans, but I thought, oh, it would be nice to have hard copies, and that maybe I put in a portfolio for myself or something.
Was that Hart copies?
Yes, hard copies, exactly. And so that's it. But like I said, I 250 to 300 or so, and then I was like, I don't want to keep going. I had to go downtown to this because they had good copy machines at that place, right? I figured it's no sense to make them unless they're nice quality copies. But then I just like, I'm tired of having to go there. So I said, forget it. I'll stop, and that's it. But it's given me enough material to share with viewers. Like I said, potentially, depending on how long we go, it could be 5 or 6 episodes worth if people want to see it. If not, then whatever. I won't show it at all, So we'll see how it goes tonight, and we'll take it from there,
Yeah, I wish I had done that too, honestly, because the stuff that I've sold throughout the years, it's so many, and I forget, obviously, in my old age, what I've sold. But every once in a while, somebody posts on CAF, not often enough, but sometimes, and I'll see it. I'm like, was that one of mine? Is that mine? Yes, it is. And then I'll comment on it. I used to own this, or
exactly.
nice pickup.
Exactly. Yeah. And by the way, to everybody out there on CAF who, you have stuff and you get comments with people mentioning, oh man, wow, it's nice to see this old piece of mine that I used to own or whatever, which I've done many times. For those of you who, because I've heard there are people who don't like to be told that the commenter used to own it or whatever. I'm like, look, first of all, loosen up. Just chill, man. This is all about fun, right? It's not because we want to, get some old glory coming back to us, right? Like, it's just we're excited. Oh my God, I haven't seen that in so many years. Holy shit, right? And so you figure you'll mention it, right? Like,
I've had some people, I don't remember who, take my comment off.
Wow. What?
So,
because
I don't know.
Because you mentioned you used to own it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And maybe it's just they don't want to put that out. I don't know, but it was just, I'm like, hey, great to see this. I used to own this 10 plus years ago, whatever it is,
right.
But it was something like that.
Okay.
Not everybody, just a few people.
No, yeah, and that's why I said I've heard that there are people who don't like it for whatever reason, whatever, But you know what? That's why it's nice to take to have that option, that delete option, anyways, right? It's like we like commenters who take the time and effort to comment. We shouldn't have to walk on eggshells wondering if this guy might not like when I say this or that guy might not like when I say that, right? That's what it's for. If you don't like it, delete it. That's the easiest way, right? So that's how I see it. Hey, oh wait, whoa, where's it? Suddenly moving fast. What's the what?
I used to bang your wife.
What is happening here? Let's see. Rub it in their face. They take
Marcus, you and I have to talk.
Caesar, what is up, bro? Good to see you, man. I posted a former Hart piece, a Michael Cho piece.
Yes, it has my name on it because Michael dedicated it to me, and I bought it from him. Great guy. This is way before he even exploded, like years before, and I let it go, and it's still in his collection. That's great.
Hey, we got a new one. Unless you've somebody who's changed your name, Poquito. Are you new? Let me know if you're new. Welcome, anyways, whether you are or not. Good to see you tonight. Derek, what is up? Does anyone ever ask you guys where you got the piece from? You mean like when you post it in CAF and then they contact you to say, hey, can you tell me where you got that? Like, if that's what you mean, I've had that happen. Yeah. And I've
actually asked people where they got them, because sometimes I want a commission by that artist. So I'm hoping that person has a direct line to the artist, so I can say, hey, do you know where Mike Cho is? His contact information, can I have it if you have it available? Just as a nice, request. And probably 80% never have the contact information.
Exactly, CJ. I agree. But there are uptight people in the hobby. Like I said, I just, especially as I got older over the years in the hobby, I just more and more focused on, this needs to be fun, man. There's too many things sucking the fun out of it, right? Like here and there. And it's little things like that sometimes, right? Where people are like so uptight about the littlest things, whatever. But yeah, it happens. What are you going to do, right?
I thought that was Marcus. Oh, sorry. Just kidding, Marcus.
So Rick says, afraid it'll be perceived as recycled art. Right. You know what? Now that you mention it, it might be true. Maybe that's what it is. But it's kind of silly though, right? Because you really think that other people in the hobby haven't seen many of these pieces around in different collectors' galleries before? Like, who are you fooling?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is the fact that the fresh to market crap. Okay.
Yeah. That goes hand in hand with that. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Let me say this. It's not fresh to market because most of the time, most of those pages have been passed around privately to a select group that knows each other.
But in their defense, privately is fine because it's fresh as long as it's not out in the public open. So that's what keeps it fresh. It's okay if guys privately know about it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I don't consider anything fresh to market because somebody at some point has seen it all, right? Seen the pages, passed the pages, sold the pages. So it becomes the whole fresh to market quote is just jargon to sell. It's like selling fine art. I've got a print by Andy Warhol. Never been seen before. It's a can. It's like, no, that can's been seen 4 million times, but it's still fresh to market because it's a remarked one of 25 or whatever it is.
I get you.
I have a kind of love-hate relationship with that fresh to market crap.
And look, and it's an interesting topic. We could probably do the entire show about that whole topic, right?
Yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that.
But Maki Pupu, exactly. Like the provenance, as they say, right? That's the proper terminology. The provenance. Right. It's nice to know it, right? Not that you have to know it, but why not? If you could, right? So Derek says, just be curious. Exactly. Yeah, that's cool. Any comment is an affront to humanity. You have affronted humanity for far too long, Marcus. And
Marcus, I got a comment for you. I love you.
Say again?
I have a comment for Marcus. I love you, Marcus. There you go. Put that on a calf site.
I'm feeling the love.
Wait, I heart you.
So he's saying, so my Neal Adams piece has my DNA all over it and not in a good way. Nice. Ooh, I don't know what you're saying. I'm starting to wonder there, Brian. Oh my God. And Mike D, I would like to know more, not less, about the pedigree. Yeah, I think you mean provenance again, probably. Yeah. But yeah, exactly. I think we're like-minded people who are in the majority. I think the anti-whatever, don't tell me that you used to own this crowd. I think they have to be in the minority, What is up? Good evening, Nick. Good to see you, pal. And thank you, as always. Thank you.
One thing I like is when I see a page and I get it, I turn it around and I see it for $50 on a pencil mark. I'm like, okay, that is cool. Yes, it pisses me off because I paid $2,000 for it, but the fact that it was sold by the artist at that price or stolen by Stanley, I don't know. Enough said.
That's it.
So, it's kind of cool to see that price tag, even though, it kind of makes you kind of go, oh, damn.
Yeah, no, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, your mama told you better shop around. Yeah. I mean, all right. So, so let's get up and start showing some of the art. Why not? And make some comments. Let me let me know whatever you got to say about this stuff. Yeah, just throw whatever comments you want out there. But let me quickly say, just because Nick reminded me, and sorry, Nick, apologies. I forgot last week. I was so caught up in what I was doing. I forgot to then give you that extra the promo. So let me just quickly throw this up, everyone, to remind you and to tell you for the first time, especially you, Poquito, if you are a new guy and not just an older viewer with a name change, that Nick Barucci has a very fun show, a great way to end your work week on Fridays at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. It is indeed a sales show, but not a typical sales show where you're doing nothing but sales all from start to finish. There's a lot of talking, chatting, and a lot of lower end art by lower end. I know a lot of people hate the terminology. What we mean is just lower priced art to make it affordable for entry level collectors, newer collectors. It's done to encourage newer collectors to step into the hobby and show them that not everything in this hobby is super ridiculously expensive and unaffordable. Right. And of course, myself and a bunch of these other guys are in that chat almost every week. Some of them every week. And it's just a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, and you should check it out. So please do that. That's at youtube.com/TheEXP. Every Friday, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. There you go, Nick. And I'm sorry, and I hope I made up for last week. All right, so let us go on to the first image. And here we go. Sorry, guys. Let me... Oops. All right, scroll up here. All right, so interesting. This, again, as I remember, guys, this is going to go, for the most part, in alphabetical order by artist. But in some cases, don't tell me that it's out of order. I know when it's out of order. There's a few that are out of order. I get it. This one, I didn't know the artist. Still don't know. I never found out. Mike would probably be into this one. But yeah, Golden Age cover. I guess this was 50s. I think I believe it's early 50s, so I think it qualifies as Golden Age. But yeah, a Samson cover. Again, like I said, never found out who had done it. But the reason it's funny, the reason I liked this one, the reason I decided to buy it, even though this type of art was not in my wheelhouse, either as a collector or as a dealer, is simply because upon first looking at it, knowing that it was from the 50s, I was like, oh, cool, a football cover. Because because just at first glance, I thought, he's catching a football. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second, that's some kind of a bomb or whatever, some missile torpedo. Yeah. So yeah, whatever. But I thought that was fun. And I at the time, just for those of you who don't know, who weren't around back then and knew me back then, I specialized primarily in 1970s and 80s art. That's what I loved as a collector. So that's what I chose to focus on as a dealer as well. But I also wanted to try my best to still get things from every sort of era. So I tried to get some Golden Age, some Silver Age from the 60s. So I did have that type of stuff as well, but just not in as much quantities as 70s and 80s art. Let me quickly get this off screen, jump back into the comments because I saw a bunch of them come in. And sorry, Nick said nothing to sorry about. Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate it. But just wanted you to know there wasn't a slight that it completely blew, past me because I had so many things on my mind. CJ Hart, basking in the glow of art.
I am.
There you go. CJ knows. CJ's usually there, if not always. Art Adams, no. And I've had Art Adams, Rick. I've had, but not during that brief period of time when I decided I'd start photocopying parts of my inventory. So CJ, interesting. Excellent. Very nice. Touche, Marcus. I love that. CJ, So supposedly, in terms of who, somebody like on the comics.org maybe mentioned it or something. Let me know. I can't say I'm even familiar with him. Not that wasn't a
me neither.
squirrel for me, but so
I thought
Brian,
it was Robert Webb.
who?
Robert Webb,
Oh,
or is it was
Isn't that-
he
wow. Yeah.
WEBB?
Oh, I
Webb.
figured
Yeah,
as
yeah.
much. So the one thing I like about collecting artwork is the notes that the inker penciler leave on the side of. Oh yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people like that. You know, happens a lot on older stuff. Always fun to see interaction going on amongst them. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's part of the fun. It's an extra bonus you get. You know. CJ. Oh, at a comic shop. Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. So let me show you the next one, guys, and that would be Okay. Well, it's not Art Adams, Rick, but it was his brother, Neal.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I had some Neal Adams over the years. Of course, he was the first. He was the first comic book artist who completely blew my mind. I mean, when I got in when I was 12, and I discovered his work really quickly. And I had already, even as a kid, I'd already been familiar with illustration from sort of mid 20th century American magazines, like Woman's Day, Red Book, Saturday Evening Post. You know, things that basically my barber that my dad used to take me to would have. You know, the barbers would have 20-year-old magazines sitting there that they never changed or swapped out. So I was familiar with illustration already, non-comics illustration. And so when I got into comics as a 12-year-old and I discovered Neal's work, I was like, wow, it's so realistic. This guy is doing what those people in those magazines I used to look at, you know, in the barber shop were doing. You know, he brought this kind of advertising realism to comic books, you know? So I was never able to get a lot of great Adams stuff. But I had, you know, Superman, Muhammad Ali. That was pretty cool. A few sort of more minor period covers like Tomahawk or whatever. But yeah, it was just a way just for me to be able to say, okay, at least I have some Neal Adams to offer people, you know? So thought it was cool. Here we go with, thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. And, and CJ says that Ken did in interiors also. Okay, good to know. Never heard of the guy, Ken Battlefield. Okay. And Marcus says, what? This is the reason Art Adams avoided doing recreations of Neal Adams. Why? Because he's his brother? Like I told everyone.
news to me.
Bondage. Yeah, but I think wasn't it me who asked this question on a previous episode? Is it bondage when it's a guy, or
Yes,
it's still considered bondage, I guess, right?
it's still bondage.
Right. It's just that it's probably not collected by those bondage lovers,
Right.
unless it's the woman, probably, right?
Or a man. Doesn't have to be a woman or a man.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that it's still bondage because the guy's in bondage. But I'm just saying, have you ever heard of bondage comic collectors, cover collectors, buying the comics, even if it's just male bondage?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because
there are some gay collectors out there, and they like collecting as much as
For sure, there's gay collectors, but how do we know that there are gay collectors who were into bondage covers, right? Like those golden age, silver age bondage cover. Like, I don't know. I guess it could be, right? I guess so.
Yeah.
I've never known.
I mean, I knew a guy. He was gay, and he would only buy Storm pages. That's it. He loved Storm. Yeah. So he wasn't one of the customers for this cover, but he loved his Storm.
Yeah. I got you. And what are you saying here, Mr. Red Jack? You looked at comics at the barbershop. I would sneak the latest. No, I didn't look at comics at the barbershop. I said mid 20th century magazines, Saturday Evening Post, Woman's Day, or whatever, Red Book. Those magazines. Yeah.
No National Geographic.
They had those too. But I looked at those American magazines instead. Yeah, I like the artwork. I was captivated by the illustrations, the story illustrations, and the advertisement illustrations. Marcus says, I asked Art himself back when he was doing cover recreations. So you're being serious now? You never know with Marcus, right?
Yeah, I know.
So hold on. So let me go back to what you said. Marcus is telling everybody this is the reason Art Adams avoided doing recreations of Neal Adams. Are you saying because he didn't want people thinking, the people think that they're brothers or related or whatever? Is that what you mean? Because then, okay, maybe,
distant cousins.
Yeah. Okay. And Nick says, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I always love a good Mohawk. I've always loved the good Mohawks. And okay, so he's being serious. Thanks, man. I appreciate you clearing it up. So yes, he refused requests for Neal Adams covers. That's wild. Interesting. Don't know. I wouldn't have done that. I mean, really, do you really care if somebody thought you were related to Neal Adams? Whatever. Like, I don't know. It's kind of strange, but whatever. To each their own. All right,
I'll email Art tonight for Neal Adams. See what happens.
Okay. All right. So as you guys know, I am doing this alphabetically. So we're going from Neal Adams, Silver Age, to this whopper. Oh, baby.
I know, Karl.
Yeah. So this is how you know I did not pick and choose the selection. I'm just going in order of what I had. And I just thought this was funny because I remember at the time, of course, this is 90s. And again, I was not into, the early 90s stuff that started happening with the whole image thing. It's what drove me away from comics for 8 years or whatever. But of course, as a dealer, wanting to be able to say that, I try to deal in everything from like the 50s up, even though I specialize in 60s and 70s, 70s and 80s. I was trying to make efforts and trying to find whatever I could, that was affordable, like for people to afford. So I avoided the whole, Jim Lee, Eric Larson, the main image guys, right? And I got the sort of secondary, tertiary stuff. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I sold this to Ben Bressel. If you're ever out there watching this, Ben, confirm with me if you can. I think I sold it to you, and then you sold it many years later. But very much of the time, I guess you can say, And Murdoch says always loved Karl Altstaetter stuff. So there you go. It's something for everybody, and that was my point. I wanted to try, even if I didn't myself love it. I still wanted to try to at least deal in it, And exactly. Very, very, very shiny. Missed the spot, and Gil says, how much? Gil, you must think you're on a sales show, my friend, but this is not a sales show. All right, so let us move on to the other one, the next one, and let's bring us back. And here we go with this. This one is, I love this one. So,
yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. So again, this is one that I wished I could have had and kept for myself. Again, I early on, I didn't have much money. So I couldn't afford to keep everything. It had to be for inventory, Otherwise,
Ruben, I gotta say, what the fuck? Why'd you let it go?
Like I said, I always had a very, very broad taste in comic art. Like I loved a lot of artists and comics and titles from different publishers, right? So, like I would literally have had to have been a millionaire type guy with deep, never-ending pockets, bottomless pockets. To if I really wanted to keep everything that I was interested in. I just couldn't. So what I did was I said, okay, I'll deal in the stuff that I would have kept if I could afford to keep it. But you can't.
That second to last panel is just like the money shot right there.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, that was in his very sort of. He was very. He had an Adams influence to his style in particular back then. So the figure work is kind of Adams-ish too. I loved it, and like I said, Gil said, it's pretty cool. But like I said, it's not a sales show. Thank you though. Good vibes, exactly. And when he wasn't being purposely goofy, he did great stuff. There you go. He's talking about Altstaetter, of course. And thank you, Mr. Easy Go Lucky. Appreciate it, man. Cyclops looks so sexy. He was wearing leotards. Yes, well, I know how much you love Cyclops, Marcus. Works has a good chunk of my favorite X-Men. No, fantastic. Yeah, I love it. Just love it. But and again, also, let me come back to you guys real quick. Also wanted to mention that another reason, it was multiple reasons why I I thought it might be a fun idea to look through some of my old inventory. Was because if you guys remember, those of you who watched my first 2 episodes I ever did when I relaunched this channel, when I did the show and tell for my former Incredible Hulk art collection, part of the reason I did that was because most of that stuff never ultimately ended up on CAF. And like even to this day, most of that stuff wasn't on CAF. Well, here we go again. Most of what you're going to see tonight, again, I checked. Most of it is not on CAF. Again, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know if it's just me. Is it stuff that I got rid of over the years? Or if everybody kind of experienced the same thing? Like, I don't know. But most of this stuff is not on CAF. I don't get it. Don't know why. I can't explain it. So I thought, hey, more reason to show it. Because I guess a lot of guys who weren't around back then when I had this stuff in inventory, right, to them it's new stuff, right? It's fun stuff to see, I guess, that they may not have seen before. So, all right. Let me go on.
One thing I want to say, Brent Anderson to me is, I like him more than Neal Adams. Yes, that's blasphemy, but really? For me, Neal has never been like the go-to guy. I mean, for form and function and storytelling, he's great. But if I had a Brent Anderson and a Neal Adams Deadman and Brent Anderson, X-Men, I'd go for the Brent every time. And I know that the Deadman would cost like $10K or something like that, but
right. No, but it's cool.
Preference.
Like I say, we all got our preferences. Like it's that's it for sure.
And that page is my preference.
There you go. Fantastic. I always loved Brent's work. So yeah, I can't blame you,
Can I go back in time now?
Can you go back in time? It's time to go back to the past. Yeah. Yes. There you go. And Killer Panel Folder, exactly. Although quite a few panels were pretty nice. And Murdoch. So Murdoch here, let me just answer your question. Large format scanners are expensive. It depends what you mean by expensive. To me, the answer is no. I mean, they have some expensive ones, but you can get one like right now. I on eBay, I keep sending links to people who are looking for them. A dedicated scanner. I don't like those MFC machines, the multifunction machines, which is a color printer, scanner, fax, or whatever they all are. I don't like that. I just like dedicated scanners. For $339, they sell it. I believe the price is $339 to me for a dedicated scanner, and it works really well. Not because I have it, but because I've seen other people who do have it use it, and it makes really good scans. So yeah, to me, $339 is a bargain for something that makes quality scans and that is a dedicated scanner. So let me know, Murdoch, if that's in your price range or whatever, and you're interested in finding the link. I'll send you the link. Let me know. And there's just a quick couple of comments here. Yeah. So he's saying this in response to like, why the heck do most of the people that I sold art to, they don't have it on CAF, And so he's saying they're afraid I'll leave a comment that I used to own it. Yeah. It could be, the CAF.
I want to do this. Hold on, Ruben. What I'm going to do tonight is to comment on every new one and say that I owned it at one point. See how many deletes I get.
That might be something fun that we should both do, right?
Marcus, you should do that too.
For tonight alone, everybody, any comment you leave, say what you want, but mention that you used to own it.
I really hated owning this.
Oh yeah, that'll really hate you then, I'd never leave a comment that I used to own something. Yeah, you're a good boy. I know. It's all in a bin at Berkey's house. Right? It's possible. Have you multifunction? Yeah, exactly. That's why. Yeah, dedicated for me only. Not sure, Marcus, what this one refers to. Even direct commissions
about commenting.
Oh.
Yeah. He doesn't want to comment on direct commissions that he's received, probably.
Right. Okay. Cool.
That he's off.
Sounds good. All right. So next one. So yeah, look at this one. So this is one of these shitty 90s eBay era photographs.
You said shitty.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's terrible. Am I? Oh no.
You are.
Me. So I always loved Murphy Anderson. and I picked this up, and unfortunately, it's a black and white photograph, but that is indeed what you're probably suspecting, guys. It's a sheet of vellum. So, as far as I know, certainly inked on the vellum. I really, truly don't. I could never really find out and figure out if was the pencil done on a board and then he did the inks to vellum, kind of like the whole Ramita thing. I was never able to find that out. But bought it that way as just Murphy Anderson and sold it just as what it was. I just said, look, it's this crinkly sheet of vellum, and it was, you can't even really see it there very well, but it was very crinkled and creased, especially towards the bottom. You see little hints of it, but
Hey, Ruben, is it possible it was tracing paper, or are you sure it's vellum?
No, it was vellum, and because most of the guys back then, when they wanted to ink on something different, they did have vellum available to them.
Right.
And I remember the color of it looked like other vellum sheets that I've seen over the years. Right. Yeah.
It had a little cloudiness, certain areas.
Yes. And it had a certain thickness that also sort of gave it away to me, because tracing paper was always super thin.
Yeah.
Yeah. This had a certain thickness to it that wasn't like tracing paper thinness, Mm-hmm. So that just a fun fact, ended up, the last I saw it ended up with the Donnellys, and
you'll never see it again.
I don't know if they finally got rid of it or what, but that's all I remember.
Sold it for $20,000.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
So we have shitty bang bang. I am not sure what you commented on, but they would have just made a stat of this and pasted it onto a cover.
Just went to the bathroom.
Finish. It's possible. Murdoch. Sometimes I see a comic and seriously wonder, police believe drugs were involved. Oh well, man, the old days,
Mm-hmm. Good old days.
On vellum, exactly, and that's why I mentioned that. Okay, cool. So let us move on to the next one. And by the way, guys, none of you, not a single one of you, answered me as to whether you'd be cool with going 60 to 90 minutes. We spoke a lot almost for the first half hour. So I'd say, let's say 90 minutes. Like, let me know if you'd be cool keeping it to 90 minutes and saying kind of the same thing next week. This way it feels like it goes faster, and then maybe you won't get tired, and you'll maybe be cool with me doing a third, fourth, fifth, sixth episode, not in a row, but eventually. But let me know. Yeah. So the next one here. Oh, I remember really enjoying this one too, because I'm a Superman fan. And so this is one of the earlier Superman covers that I had, an Andru Nano cover. I believe I got this in a trade from an old friend, Adon Salazar. Hey, Adon, if you're listening, Southern Texas, way back when. I just really liked it. And I thought it was really kooky. What really sold me on wanting to have it for inventory was, look at the bottom panel, which didn't make it to the published piece.
Right.
That's Clark Kent at a disco. And those are apparently disco moves. And it says something in that little box, something about, Clark gets super disco fever. Yeah, so that is just so kooky. I was just like, oh my God. Thanks, Murdoch. Thanks. I guess I'll play it by ear, whatever. And Rick says 90 is just right. Excellent. So that leaves us another 37 minutes or so. So yeah, that's cool. We'll see how far we get with that. Referee man. Yeah, the guy in the back. Exactly. Or more like, prison jailbreak guy, I guess.
He was called the jailer, I think.
The jailer. Yeah. So you know him. Oh, okay.
I read this in Germany.
Oh, okay, cool. That's neat. And look at Mr. Redjack says, I have this with a double cover. One of those comics with they printed with the two covers on it. That's cool. And Derek Clark is staying alive and moves like Jagger. Exactly. So Derek says Master Jailer. That doesn't sound familiar. Really?
Yeah, that's him.
So not the jailer, but Master Jailer?
Well,
he called me. Sorry. I just noticed the word balloon. He calls him now. He's saying it right there. He's calling himself the Master Jailer. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I should have looked carefully. But yeah, Clark's coked out at Studio 50. Exactly. Yeah, I do, and I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding when I say that I do wish like that one. I kind of wish I had back only for that, only because I just thought it's the kookiness of it all, you know. Yes, I like that's what I like now. Now that I'm kind of in my late collecting years, I'm like I like fun stuff. I just want to get fun stuff that makes me smile and stuff, you know. So kooky stuff is cool now, you know. So that's kind of stuff that would fit into my collection now, you know.
Well,
Okay.
if you look real carefully, you'll see on the bottom panel, Grace Jones doing a line of coke or bump.
Yeah, the bump. Yeah, a baiter he must be. Yes. What type of baiter? We don't know, you know. But maybe he refers to
Jail
himself
baiter?
in a jail baiter. I think. Yeah, that must be it.
Yeah.
You know.
Must be.
All right. And okay. So this was a fun one. So I had 3 of these. Not sure if you'll see the other 2 tonight, but so this one is one of the rare few that actually are on CAF. It's owned by John. I think you pronounce it Kalis. And actually, he's a colorist. So he's been a colorist for a long time, and I didn't know that he collected. So when I looked for this on CAF and I found it in his collection, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Interesting little tidbit. So when I got this and the other 2 pieces from this, it's from the Electric Company magazine. I didn't know that at the time. So at the time, I thought they were splash pages to Spidey Super Stories. And that's kind of how they were being sold to me anyways, right? But you know, I didn't have the comics, so I couldn't check at the time, right? And back in those days, there wasn't all these illegal websites where you can check the comics, right? And use them, you know, to use as a reference. So I was like, okay, whatever. I had to go with, okay, it's probably, I'll just say it's unpublished, but you know, if you can find this in, you know, in a Spidey Super Stories collection of comics that you can grab a hold of, then better for you. It'll be worth more, obviously, you know. But yeah, just kooky fun, right? And doing these Olympic type things, you know, running the sort of a 100-meter hurdles type thing. As a lot of that Spidey Super Story stuff was super kooky, right? But now, thanks to the improvement in things happening on the internet, I was able to track down copies of the magazines that these things came from. Unfortunately, still not the interior, so I couldn't get a scan or a photo of the interior. But that's at least the copy of the issue that this splash can be found in. So there you go. And that's that. And real quick, let me see what these guys are saying. So Brian, just going back to the previous one, the servant waits while the master jailer. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. Bill Sienkiewicz art on the right. Which one? Are you? Oh, yeah. The photograph of the Spidey Super Stories thing. Exactly. A good one. Good eye, Nick. And what are you saying now? Another joke, no doubt. Why I remember watching Electric Company. Wow. Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. I think a lot of us watched it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic shoes if he can't get his legs across the finish line. Yeah, but he should be able to stretch there in an instant. The only thing I think a lot of us never really thought about is with the stretching powers. Does it give you speed? Is it kind of like flying where moving in a stretching motion would be faster than trying to run or walk? That's an interesting thing if you think about it. Like, could a stretching powered character, like, do they stretch fast? I don't know. Who knows? Right?
They stretch some things faster than others.
Well, you know, yes. I mean, he knew what was important when it came to Sue, you know. Yeah. Stanley, do you keep track of the prices you sold everything for? Definitely not. But I remember I tend to remember the basic range that I sold them for. And Stanley, I'm assuming that since you're only chiming in now, that you weren't here from the top of the hour. So I just want to mention to you, the vast majority of what you're seeing tonight was probably purchased and resold for in between $150 to $250. And yes, $100, not hundreds of thousands of dollars like it would be today, you know. So there you go.
Ruben, was this 95 or what was the year that you sold them?
Oh, that I sold those. So they would have been anywhere from like 17 to 22 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess you'd go back. So yeah, I would have sold them no more recently than 2005.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and going as far back as potentially 98.
Those are real good prices for somebody to pick them up. You were being very fair. You were being very fair.
Again, don't forget, I don't remember like that particular piece, right, or any of these pieces, what exact year I sold them, right? So yeah, so
but still, I gotta say,
yeah, but I always did try to be fair. Certainly, I never wanted to be that gouger guy, whatever. And again, being Canadian, being a smaller dealer in terms of the size of the inventory, right? I felt like, I'm a fish out of water here, right? I gotta ingratiate myself with the hobby and yeah, man. And my whole thing was just be honest, deal in art that I love, that stuff that I'd love to collect if I could afford to keep it all, right? And that way, because when I sell it, it's easier to sell stuff that I like because I can tell you in the description why I like it, Whereas I don't like to lie. So it's like writing bullshit in descriptions,
right?
That, like, trying to talk up a piece like you're excited because you read the book or whatever, but you never read the book. You know what I mean? Right. I can't do that. I can't. And
I'm just going to say that I wish I had known you back then for real, because when I was buying from eBay primarily, and some of the like Fanfare and DOA, those are the guys that I could see on the web. I never saw your site on the web enough to,
Yeah.
Because I would have picked up, a few of those pieces.
Yeah. No, I'm sure, right? And I appreciate it. Thank you for for saying that. All right, so let us go on to the next one here. And what would be next? Yeah, Caesar. Are you watching? Are you still watching, Caesar?
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved, again, I love a lot of stuff. So again, if I love Jonah Hex, right? So people might say, well, why wouldn't you keep this? And I've had a lot of Jonah Hex covers, and you guys will say, well, why did you keep any of them? And again, I loved a lot of stuff, way too much stuff. And so as much as I love Jonah Hex, he still was pretty far down on my list of, priority in terms of what I loved in comics, so that's pretty much the only reason. But yeah, the funny thing with this cover that some of you may or may not know, you can't see it probably because it's not large enough, but right to the left of the what do you call it, the whatchamacallit box in the bottom left hand corner, right, the UPC box, where the artists usually sign their names, the way they signed it was jar. It's printed as uppercase letter JARR, which was the strangest thing at the time, right? Because like, who the hell's Jar? Obviously, nobody's named Jar. So I knew right away that, okay, this is some kind of thing where the artists are having a little bit of fun or whatever. And so I'm thinking, okay, J.A., Jim Aparo. Okay, so let's work with Jim Aparo, right? And then I'm like, yeah, R.R., who's R.R.? That doesn't make sense. And then somebody, I think either I thought of it or a friend suggested that, because it was J.A.R.R. And so we were like, okay, well, these guys are having fun, right? The artists are having fun with it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be J.A. is one guy and R.R. is the next guy. So I was like, what about the two middle ones, right? So A and R, right? So then we're like, okay, A-R, I don't know. But backwards, R-A. Okay, now you got Ross Andru, And the first letter is the J, the last letter is one of the R's, Joe Rubinstein. And here was one of the clues let me put it up. The clue for me is, as far as the inks went, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that this is a Rubinstein ink cover. So that's what made me think, okay, so the first letter and last letter, that's what it definitely signifies, that it's Joe Rubinstein. And that left, again, the AR. But I couldn't figure out AR. And then ultimately, the only thing I could think of was, okay, it's probably having a little fun, and it's RA, right? Just put backwards. And that's why I was like, okay, look, it's got to be Ross Andru. And then people started accepting that. And let me see here real quick. Caesar, man, you're not even there. You took off. I can't believe you took off, dude. Distinctive, by the way, in case for those of you who don't know, Jim Warden was this. That's what it stood for, was distinctive original art. Just a fun
dead on arrival, excuse me.
Fun fact is common. Hey, Karl. So Karl asks us, is trading art common? You know what? I've been doing all the talking. Hart, you mind taking that one? Because that could be a really long-winded answer, and you know I get long-winded, and I'd like to keep it shorter if possible.
It's common among some people that have better pieces, I think. You know what I'm saying? Because if I come to you and say, I've got a great piece here, and I want to trade it for 2 of your pages, you know, I have the upper hand sometimes. Yeah. But trading art, it's kind of hard to explain that it is common, because I prefer a price. You know, I don't like offers. I don't like to give offers, because usually I lowball it and I lose the whole deal.
I get you. I get you. But
trading is kind of hard to kind of guesstimate what the price value of each piece is. And you know, everybody wants to be on the upside. You know, they don't want to be on the low side and say, "Oh well, my Brent Anderson's not as much as your Neal Adams, so I have to give you a better couple pages." And
you either have to kick in more money or more art or whatever, right? So
I've got so many offers to do a trade, and when I bring something, actually I did it recently, like a couple months ago. I offered like a slew of 4 different pages to select from, maybe a couple for a couple pages, and it didn't work out because they were saying, it's worth more than what I'm showing them. And that's where it's kind of hard to say it's common if you are on the downside as far as value is concerned. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And thanks. Perfect. So excellent. Yeah. And let me just kick in, Karl. I will say an easy answer is that it's common in the sense that, so this is my 25th year in the hobby, and I've certainly heard about trading artwork since my first year. So from that perspective, it's common. It's a known method of exchange that people do, right? Of exchanging artwork. Do the vast majority of people trade or not? If you ask me that, then I say absolutely the vast majority of all collectors in the hobby generally do not trade. I think that's a fair comment. I don't know if you guys can agree or disagree, but but it's not easy for some people, maybe, but I've always found it way more difficult. And typically, people who want stuff from me, what happens is they don't have anything that I want to get from them, right? And for me, the most common offers, Karl, this is for you. The most common way people have offered me, like what happens to me with trading, is people reach out to me, let's say on Comic Art Fans, and they say, "Oh man, I really love this. I really love to get this in my collection." And they say, "Can you?" They give me a link. "Hey, can you take a look at my gallery and see if there's anything you like that you would take for it or whatever?" And it's like, oh God, I don't want to have to do the work. Why should I have to be the guy to spend 2 hours in your gallery looking at everything and try to come up with something to make you happy? You know what I mean? So for me, that makes it difficult, because it's kind of, and the truth is, as much as I don't like that, I still usually do go to the gallery just in case there's something that I do like better, But in most cases there isn't, and that's why I end up being like, oh God, I just wasted all this time, and just to say, sorry, man, but there's nothing there that I like more, right? Because for me it would have to be something I like even more than what I'm giving up.
Well, I will say that I think it's easier for a friend to a friend trade rather than a friend to somebody. I mean, a person to a person that don't know each other.
You're right.
If you and I have something to trade, we're kind of going to give each other kind of a little bit of leeway, a little bit of massaging here and there. We're not going to be like, well, mine's better than yours.
Yes.
And if you say, I don't have anything that you want, I'm good. Right? There's no like mixed messages going between us.
Right. And what Nick says, what Nick says is interesting too, right? Like, and then it becomes, oh, I can't trade for that. Like, it's true, because that happened to me too on one of those many occasions where I had to flip through 2 hours worth of stuff because they had a lot of stuff, right? And I'm taking notes. I'm like, okay, maybe this one, right? And ultimately, when I finally get through it all and I get back to the person and I say, okay, you know what? And I've done this especially back when I was like a full-time dealing and collecting, right? I'd be like, okay, you know what? I don't mind parting with it because I'm dealing and I always need inventory. If I could get this stuff for my inventory, right? And it generally would be something that would bring me, more money of value than if I just took something as for my collection as a trade, because I'm only doing it more to make that guy happy. You know what I mean? Just because he asked for it. And what would often happen was, oh, I spent my 2 hours and I go, okay, I'd be willing to take this. And that's pretty much the only way I'd be willing to part with the one you're asking about. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, but no, those aren't available for trade.
See, they should have told you beforehand, these are not for sale or trade.
Right, exactly.
Because that's the etiquette, in my opinion, of trading. You tell them what you will trade rather than what you'll just tell them to go to their website and say, hey, everything's a go except that one.
Yeah. Brian says, hey, if you really want the piece, also don't try to lowball them. Just give your best offer or whatever. Exactly. But unfortunately, at least in my experience, which is why I've not done a lot of trading, it's always lowballing. It's like, I can't stand it. So I'm like, I'd rather, it got to the point where people would be like, hey, do you trade? I'm like, not generally speaking. No. And it got to the point where I then would say, I'm open to it, and I would spell it out. I'd be like, you though would have to tell me, first of all, tell me what it is you want from me. And then you also have to not only tell me exactly what you're willing to give me, but give me the hyperlink so I don't have to go searching for it. That's it. And I will tell you yes or no. And that's it. Right? So you do the work. It's not me who have to do the work,
Because lowballing is nuts.
Yeah. But then they look at your gallery for more. That's true too. You know? Thank you. Yes, please, everybody, if you don't mind, hit the like, a thumbs up button. I would appreciate it. Thank you. And subscribe if you're watching for the first time and haven't done so. And you want to see more of this stuff. I'd appreciate you subscribing.
And if you want to send hate mail to me, my email is down below.
Exactly. And in all seriousness, for those of you, which I should have mentioned at the top of the hour, for those of you who are watching and want to see what kind of art is in Hart's collection, the direct link is down below in the description. So just click there and it'll take you right to it.
And I'm expecting Marcus to leave a comment that I used to own this kind of thing,
Exactly. I expect some of those types of comments too. Let me know what of mine you used to own. Okay, so cool. Let's go on to another piece of art. And I cannot believe Caesar didn't show up to see the Jonah hex, man. Okay. Caesar, when you watch this on Rewind, you better get in touch with me. Okay. Oh, this one, guys. Oh, God. There's not many pieces. I don't throw around the word regret. I don't typically regret stuff, but there are pieces where like, oh, God, I wish I had made an exception for that one, And this is one of them.
Okay, yeah.
I love Spidey, and of course, I love Black Cat, especially in the mid 80s, right? I love that whole era. I loved Beachum when he started, coming into the industry and doing art. Oh man, and like to have this double splash. It's not part of a story, it's a pinup, whatever, but oh God, I love it. Oh, I love it.
Beachum made things slutty though.
He made what?
Nice. He made things look slutty, which is nice.
Yeah, of course. But I have no problem with that. Oh, and for anybody, I went to the trouble of doing this for you guys. in case you want to remember where this came from, it was the Web Annual number 4, and this is what it looks like in color. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought this. I thought this was spectacular. And again, I haven't seen it since I parted with it, and it's just like, God, where is this? And I just think now, and I think today, okay. So most of the stuff I sold for between $1 and $250. This one, I don't remember the price, but it wouldn't have been there in that range, but it probably would have been somewhere closer to like around 400, I believe. Yeah, like, or at least the asking price would have been around 400. And in those days, most of the time, I used to have to give a discount. Believe it or not, there was that few people. There wasn't. It's grown a lot since then, the hobby. But in those days, yeah, it was so much more common for people to, like, no matter what the price was, they'd ask you for a deal, and a discount, and I typically give it as long as it was reasonable. I'd give it, But
Hey, Ruben.
Yeah.
So when you were doing deals, did you find out that some people that were buying art that would come in and just buy one or two and then leave and never come back? They were done with the art collecting, or did you get repeat customers kind of?
Yeah, the latter. Like, of course, I always had, every now and then, a new collector I've never heard of, right? But I would say over the years, the bulk of what I sold did go to repeat customers, which was nice, right? Because, like, on one hand, I always wished it would grow faster, the hobby, and I wished I would get newer names showing up, right? But at the same time, there's something to be said about dealing with the same guys, because you can trust them. The deal is not going to go into the toilet forever. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, which often would happen with newer guys. So there's a familiarity there, and it was just like you knew you could count on them, and it would just be a easy peasy, smooth, quick and easy transaction. Yeah. So I would say most of the time it was repeat guys for sure. And Caesar went to pick up dinner. No worries, dude. No worries. Yeah, I'm just yanking your chain. You know that. But yeah, if you haven't sort of rewound a little bit, I mentioned your name a few times, but you could do it later. Do it after the show. Rewind and catch what you missed, because
Caesar, he was mostly cursing at you, but that's okay. Yeah. It was with love.
There you go. Yeah, you see, because Rick told him now. No, he's gonna have to go on. Exactly. Go back later though. So and by the way, Caesar, not only did you miss your cover, but it's kind of cool because you're one of the very, very few people whose name I know, like in terms of owners of the art today, who I know who own this stuff. So most of the stuff I don't know where it is. It's not on CAF. So, but yours is one of the few that I found on CAF. So there you go. Spidey is Canish. It's funny that you hold on. It's funny that you say that, CJ, because it's amazing. I always find how people see things differently. Because I'm like, here, let me get it. Let me pull it up again. I'm like,
that looks like Sienkiewicz more.
I'm like, that's more like Neal Adams to me, not Kane. Like the Spidey, right? The Spidey, the whole, foreshortening, hand in your face kind of thing. That, to me, that's more Adams than Kane. But again, people see what they see, right? And that's kind of interesting. That's what makes it interesting. It's how different people will see different things in the same piece of art, Yeah, so that's it. That was one of the ones I wish I still had. Cool. Okay, so here we go. Jump back into the 90s. One of those sort of not as common era for me to have in inventory, but I tried. But I thought this was a cool looking piece, so I got it. And oh, sorry, let me get that comment off of there. And well, for obvious reasons. Yeah, I don't think I need to explain why I would get something like this. I knew everybody loved covers, splashes. You had the Avengers in a pinup style piece, and so there you go. Just thought it was nice.
They came from Wrestling Federation, though.
They do? You mean their build?
Yeah, the build. I mean, Captain America's arm alone is just like The Rock.
Yeah. But again, this is probably something in the neighborhood of 94 to 1996 or something like that, I think, or 96, 97, maybe even. That was, they were still riding the image wave, right? Yeah.
Image was influencing a lot of people. Maybe too many.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm going to speed it up, guys, only because if we do try to keep this to 90 minutes, it's only 10 minutes to go, and I haven't shown more than like even a dozen pieces. So yeah, this was a fun piece because as a Hulk fan, as a fan of the Hulk 181 thing, I love not only the Hulk, but Wolverine, Wendigo, and all of them are there, plus Ghost Rider and Spidey. I never did find out what it was, but given that it was Joe Bennett as artist, the fact that I couldn't find this anywhere, rather than assume it was unpublished, I really have a strong feeling that this ended up being something that Bennett had done for a Brazilian publisher. Since he's from Brazil. So this is, to this day, I don't know for a fact, but I definitely think that this ended up being something that was used in Brazil or somewhere overseas or South America. But just cool characters and all the most popular Marvel characters of the this is from the 90s. So the most popular characters from that era. So I thought, this is definitely something I got to pick up that I know I could sell fairly easy, assuming people don't mind about not knowing if it's published or not. Unfortunately, back in those days, everybody cared about whether it was published or not, and it was tough to sell. And it took some time for me to sell this just for that reason. And exactly, Marcus. Yeah, it's the new FF lineup from those two. Was it two Art Adams issues, or was it 3 or 4? 2. But yeah, exactly. And exactly, Jason, the previous one, right? The previous one with the Avengers, very 90s, exactly. Alrighty, let's go on. Oh, okay, so this is a interesting one. So check this one out, guys. Now, let me just say, I want to say this, okay? To me, back then, and even today, this is something that I referred to as, whatever. It's just a low-end crap cover, okay?
Yeah.
And I think, look, Hart, us guys who've been around a long time, we don't take offense to that. We know what we mean when we say, when we use the word crap for certain things. Okay.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, guys who don't really understand, and let me just to explain, because I don't want to insult the current owner. Okay. The fact of the matter is back in those days when we were reading these comics, right? This is something that nobody would have cared about. It's like, oh, another iteration of Captain Marvel, some black woman nobody's ever seen before. Like people were begging for, back in those days, I remember there were some people begging for the return of the original Captain Marvel, right? They wanted him not to have died of cancer or whatever. So nobody wanted to see this. It's like, who cares? What is this, right? Nobody cared at all. And now all of a sudden, as everybody or most everybody these days knows, this is all about, she was portrayed in the WandaVision TV show. So all of a sudden we have to act like she's important. And she's not. No offense to anybody out there who likes her. I'm not saying you shouldn't like her. If you like her, that's fine. But to pretend that suddenly she's important because somebody in Hollywood thought that, hey, she would be a translatable character from comics to screen, right? Whatever. Right. To me, whatever. So I think for me, this was probably a two to retail, probably $250 cover. Back then. And not a quick seller either, But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that this was in my pile of photocopies, particularly because of the fact that I only recently saw the whoever owns it, they posted it on Facebook and trying to sell it for $33,000. I was like, holy crap! Not that it's shocking these days, right? But in the sense that, it made me think, okay, like I guess everybody thinks whatever they have that's related to a TV show or movie, they think it's worth tens of thousands of dollars, right? And who knows? That's the crazy thing about it is like, right, Hart? Like, who knows? And nothing really is shocking anymore. He may find the buyer at like somebody may say, tell you what, how about $25,000, right? Because if it was me, I'd be like, yes, please send me 25,000.
Case in point, Moon Knight. Okay, I remember being able to buy Moon Knight pages or splashes for $150, or less, because nobody cared for Moon Knight. I mean, there were a few diehard Moon Knight collectors back then, I'm sure, but for the most part, nobody was like, this guy's going to make it, this guy's going to make me money, or whatnot. It was all about that character's a third string, character. I'm not going to care. I want Captain America. I don't give a shit about this. This guy. Now it's like I've seen pages that were for a while at $150 on eBay. Now they're like $5.99.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong, like guys, because I've mentioned that I was dealing in art that I enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. Like, did I care? Could I say I cared about that character? No, I can't say, I care about her. But I had an attachment to her in the sense that I was collecting, like as a kid, when I first started. And her first appearance was in the annual, The Amazing Spider-Man. I was a Spider-Man fan, so that's where I first saw her. I read the comic, so I had that attachment. So of course, when the cover came out, and I still bought the comic, I was like, oh, it's that Captain Marvel girl from the Spider-Man annual or whatever, So I still bought that issue. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean I won't buy it, but that's what I'm trying to explain to the people who don't understand when you say, oh, something's crap. It's like, it's just. It's nowhere. I'm just trying to say that it's nowhere near as good as the current hype for these types of things make it seem to be, right? This fake false importance that people try to put on stuff because there's some kind of connection to live action now. You know what I mean? And that's it. And here we have, look at Mickey. What is that, bro? And that's the thing. But in those days, I was like, so I bought the comic, and so cool, it came available to me. Why not? It's another cover from Marvel I can offer, right? From a character I remembered in a Spidey comic. And it was, I'm pretty sure it was around $250. Maybe you remember, Mickey. That would be fun if you could remember what you think you might have paid for it. But either way, it doesn't matter. The point is, it was fun. It was a fun little thing to sell for Marvel, whatever, and it's cool. But then you got rid of it, Mickey, and some current owner thinks he can try to get 30. You know what? Try to get 33 grand on Facebook. But in preparation, when I was making the slide for this, I was like, okay, let me go back to Facebook to see who it is, because I wanted to put his name there. Like I credit everybody if I know who it is, who owns it. But then I couldn't find it. So did he pull it? Did somebody buy it and then he pulled it? Like, I don't know, So you never know these days, The W word. You mean woman or Wanda? And if they say it, it must be so. Exactly. And now you say, but you're closer to the birth page of these newer characters. Yeah, but I know. It's just, that's not my issue. It could even have been the birth page. Let's pretend it was, right? My issue is that it's not that it's important. I understand the importance and the interest in first appearances and all that, right? My issue is more like nobody ever cared about her. Let's be honest. Nobody cared about her to any degree until it was announced, oh, she may be appearing on that WandaVision show. You know what I mean? Like, so the interest that has come in the last couple of years, it's all speculation related. It's not because she suddenly became a important or great character. You know what I mean? That's my view anyways, Give me the green white Marvel. Wow. You're old, CJ. You're old.
Gene Colan.
The Gene Colan era, exactly. Okay, you know what? Exactly. So that's the thing. I don't remember exactly, but that could have been about 400, that would make sense. And I traded it to Berkey late. Okay, cool. There you go.
There's your provenance right there.
Exactly.
Person on Facebook.
Exactly. Okay, let's go show you another one. What's this? Okay, so I'm going to go through these kind of quick since we haven't seen that many pieces yet. Just because it's I had a run of Brunner pages from Marvel Premiere with Doctor Strange. And again, this is one of the rarer ones, rare in the sense that I know who has it. And I won't say his last name because he used to go by his last name once upon a time, but on CAF, he's just, I've noticed Kelly B right now. So it's Kelly B. And I had these. And although Ernie Chan was not the best choice for Brunner, I have to say it still looked pretty good. Totally different approaches to penciling and inking, but I thought they still looked decent, these pages. So I thought these were fun to have. And here's another thing I can talk about. Well, we're talking about, previously uncared for characters. Let me just come back to you guys. Like Captain Marvel, right? The Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel. Doctor Strange, guys, let's be honest. I'm always about honesty and being straightforward. Let's call a spade a spade. Even Doctor Strange. I mean, you can tell by the sales of his comics. Every time he got a comic, it didn't sell well. Most people didn't care about Doctor Strange. Only when he finally started being mentioned as, he's going to be in a movie, a comic, or whatever, as a guest star or his own movie, whatever. Then suddenly, right? Now it's a big deal. And ever since that happened, then everybody suddenly started acting like he's so important, and the artwork has taken off in prices. Like everybody buys up they bid up Doctor Strange art. It's like it's Wolverine or you know what I mean, or Spider-Man or whatever. It's like, why, man? Just because he was in a movie? I don't get it. Whatever. But yeah,
Ruben.
Yeah.
The only thing is, there's a caveat to that. I like Aquaman, right?
Yeah.
I have Aquaman pages. None of those are going up. He's,
Yeah.
Nobody cares for Aquaman. He's had movies. Nobody goes, now you got to buy Aquaman pages. But I'll keep buying Aquaman pages no matter what, because I like the character, be it like Jason Momoa style or the Arthur Curry. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Just,
Right.
So there's some people that will kind of be unique in that sense.
Yeah. And CJ, I mean, I get what you're saying, right? But that's the thing. The very definition of a cult-like following is part of the definition is that it's a smaller yet hardcore type fanhood, if you will. The fanhood is smaller. It's quite small, but those people that tend to like the character really love the character, let's say, right? But the point being for me is that it's small. The interest is small, and yet the way that the artwork sells over the last couple of years for Doctor Strange, it is outrageous. You would think he was Spider-Man. So yeah, I just don't get it. He wasn't popular before the movies, and in terms of the interest in the artwork, right? Like it people didn't pay up for it. You could have had that late 80s, early 90s, or mid 90s Jeff Isherwood series, the one started by Butch Guice. You could have had those pages for $75, $150, like for 15 years. It never went up, right? And now those pages are selling for, like, some of the panel pages sell for 4 figures.
Yeah.
Jeff Isherwood, like, what? So what? No offense, Jeff, by the way, a former Montrealer. I always liked Jeff stuff, But, when you spend 15 years for clear reasons that, it's because there's just not enough interest in that character, and there never has been. Clearly, the whole TV movie thing is what's really affecting the prices for a lot of these characters. Not everyone, So Strange had a couple. Okay, right, and cult following doesn't mean money, right? Or at least it shouldn't. But these days, it apparently does, because again, it's speculative, right? But okay, and let me show you a couple other guys, and I won't talk about every page because it's from the same series. Sorry, did you want to say something, Hart?
Yeah. How do you say Jeff's last name again?
Jeff Singh?
No, Isherwood.
Isherwood. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's another one, guys. Again, same, and I believe they're all from the same issue, not only same series. I believe most of them were from, most if not all, were from Premiere number 9, and so of course all Chan inks. So yeah, really fun pages, great imagery. So yeah, I love them. It was fun to be able to have these to sell and make the buyers happy or whatever. Here we go with another one. So yeah, a lot of Doctor Strange imagery. This is another one of the few who I know who has it, Stu Neft, and because he's got it in calf. And I may be wrong, but I think I even remember selling it to Stu. So he may be the original guy that got it from me and still has it. So yeah, that's kind of fun. And then we have this one. A little bit less Doctor Strange, and you got the big Buddha guy there. But this one also, I went to Kelly B. And then finally this one, which I thought was cool because, of course, it's like a half splash. And I always really, really dug the third panel, the way he did that scratchy style third panel of the extreme close-up in the face. And I'm pretty certain that Philip Churchill, who still owns this today, I'm pretty certain that he also, along with Kelly, was the guy who got it from me. So that's kind of interesting. One of the rare few that are still original owners. And yeah, exactly. Speculation sensation. And dropping acid. Oh, I missed that. Isherwood is great. Nice to see him get his due. Yeah, exactly. Me too. Although, again, Rick, that I know what you mean, and I agree with you. But again, I can't help but mention it's not that he is right. Like, they're not buying it because they suddenly fell in love with Isherwood or his art, right? They're buying it because, well, he's been in the movies now, and so now we suddenly love Doctor Strange, and we'll buy up Doctor Strange art from any of his titles. That's really what's happening. But at least it's kind of a nice side effect. The fact that by all these guys pricing up and bidding up the price of all the Doctor Strange art, at least you see those artists who never used to get their due, sort of their names come more into prominence. So in that sense, it is nice, All right, so let's jump ahead to the next one. So more modern, and another one of those that I wish I had this back. I should have made an exception for this because it kind of represents what I love about Spidey. So even though it's modern, there we go. Yeah, it's look, my favorite Spidey villain. It's got Spidey showing emotion and Peter Parker in that headshot, showing emotion. You got MJ and Gwen Stacy, the way that the Goblin's, going through the tombstone and holding her in the hand. It's just very symbolic and represents a lot of what I loved about the whole Spidey mythos. Yeah, and I just after I sold it, I was like, why'd I do that for? I didn't often do that, but on that one, I remembered right after I sold it, I was like, I shouldn't have done that. Because again, for what it cost me, it's not like whatever I sold it for. It's not like I made some kind of killing on this that, oh yeah, I can pay my bills for a month now, Yeah, no, I should have just kept it. But oh well, whatever. I just wish I knew who had it. I can't believe I have not seen this since I sold it. So Karl, who, by the way, anybody who doesn't know, is in Hawaii. Hope I said that properly. Is saying that Jeff Isherwood will be at MauiCon on December 10th, 11th. Cool. Yeah, that's nice. And Caesar says, "Are you going to show the?" See, Caesar, you must have missed when I said earlier when Mike asked me if I was going to show the piece that I sold him, the Superman piece that I sold him from number 233. So my answer, yes, exactly, Rick. He's going alphabetical, so definitely not this show. Here, let me come back to you guys so I can see you, or you can see me at least. So Caesar, I'm going alphabetical by artist. That's how these photocopies, I kept them alphabetically by artist. There's a few that are out of order, whatever, but so you don't have to tell me that, I know already. But yeah, so definitely not tonight. And it depends if anybody wants to keep seeing shows like this. I said to everybody earlier, I have about 250 to 300 photocopies. These are large size photocopies that I made for myself because I knew I would miss a lot of the art once I sold it out of my inventory. And I just felt like, I'd make myself these mementos that I could look at 10, 20 years down the road. And at least I'd have large sized images of them, as hard copies that I thought would be fun. And that's why I did it. But no, that the Sear stuff, to be honest, I haven't looked through all my photocopies yet. So I don't remember if I made copies of those because the copies I made were only in a short period, no more than maybe like within a year or two, that I decided to do the idea. And then I decided, I'm getting tired of having to go to the store to make the copies. So that's it. I do think, I'm pretty sure that those Bart Sears pieces, because I love them anyways, I'm pretty sure I owned those during the time I was making copies. So I do think I have them as copies, which means I would show them if I elect to do more show and tells to show you this inventory stuff in the future. There's another show next week. I will do it next week, but it wouldn't reach the letter S anyway. So we'll see if in the future I do others. But let us go on and show something else here. So the next one would be, okay. So I figured I might as well show this one. This was I forgot, and so my good friend Vito L on Comic Art Fans, it's in his collection, and I actually, when I was making the slides, I forgot to change the unknown to known. But so I know that he owns it. But the funny thing is, what I like about this piece is this is either the first or the second piece that I ever sold my friend Jeff Singh, and back in the 90s eBay days. And that's, so it would be kind of the thing that sort of put us in contact for the first time ever. I loved it because, of course, that money shot, right, where he's showing the S ripping off his clothes there in that fourth panel. And then it's funny that I ended up becoming really great friends with Jeff, who owned it for many years. He then traded it back to me, and then I ended up trading it by another good friend of mine. All three of us Canadian, of course, and so it's just kind of funny that this piece has stayed with three owners, all Canadian, for many years. So just thought that was a fun story to mention. And before I go on to the next one, let me just quickly go here and say Dewey 118. Dewey, are you the Dewey that we all know, or are you a different Dewey? Let me know. Smart movement, that's what I would do too. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. But again, I didn't do it for very long, so maybe I wasn't that smart. Stanley says, "Love your honesty about feelings of regret." Well, look, I don't think I'm the only one. I think a lot of people are not ashamed to sort of say if they have regrets or not. I certainly have spoken to a lot of collectors who say, "Oh man, I really regret, not having kept that one or whatever, But just I've said this many times, and now that you could tell me, Hart, what you think. Me personally, again, regret's a strong word, but if there is anything that I ever kind of regretted over the years, far more often than not, my regrets came with the stuff I didn't buy. So where I had the opportunity, but for one reason or another, usually price, right? You're like, yeah, I don't know. It seems kind of expensive. I don't know. I think I can do without it, right? And then later you're like, shit. I should have bought that thing, Though that's where my most of my regret has come. Not in the stuff that I've sold. Typically, it's the stuff I wish I'd gone for, but I had the chance,
I agree, because one of the things that I always regret is I would buy a page and I'd use up most of my budget there, right? So, and then like 2 hours, 4 hours later, I'd see something pop up and I'm like, I should have waited. Right. And I can't stretch my dollar that much, right?
Right.
Because, the wife gets involved or whoever it is that owns the real money, shall we say?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's my regrets. But there are some pages that, for the lack of knowledge and I should have known what I had was really good. Right. And it fit my collection now rather than back then. Back then, I was just grabbing everything I could, and I let go of one. I'm like, it's not what I want. It's Spider-Man. I don't care about Spider-Man. I care about Superman, Batman,
right,
Man. And I'd throw away the Spider-Man, and it would be snapped up like that.
Right.
Or a Kirby. I had over 6 Kirbys at one point, and I didn't know what I had because I was like, yeah, it's a Kirby. I liked owning it, but it's now it has to move on.
Yeah. It's time to go, right? Like,
yeah. And I have to either pay for a bill or I have to pay for another purchase.
Right.
And when I look at the ones that I had, I'm going, what an idiot. Why did I do this? Why did I?
Right.
And the reward of the next page didn't really make up for the loss.
Right.
It was, I thought I was upselling or up buying, but in reality, I was retarded as fuck. Put it mildly. My brain left my head,
Yeah.
and I just looked at it in a different way. And that's my loss, and it's somebody else's gain.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, Rich, good to see you tonight, man. Regrets, I've had a few, but you did it your way. Exactly. And I think most of us to some degree have those regrets, right? So yeah, it is what it is, and whatever, you move on, And CJ and chewed it up and spit it out. What are we referring to now? Okay. Everyone has regrets, part of life, live and learn. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Let me move on to the next one. Oh, and just so you guys know, so if anybody who's tuning in later, I had asked the you live viewers if you would be okay if I did this in 60 to 90 minutes, but we talked a lot at the beginning. So let's say 90 minutes in it. Let's say for next week's show, for instance, Rick said 90 minutes is good. Obviously, this first one was like an experiment, and we spoke a lot. So we clearly we're at 145. If it's cool with everybody, we'll cap it. We'll get as many images in, cap it at 2 hours. Since we're 15 minutes away, we'll do the 2 hours. And next week we'll shoot for 90 minutes. And this way, if you guys like that quicker format, the next time I do, part 3, 4, or 5 or whatever, we'll keep it at 90 minutes, because most of my shows are, they're very long. So like usually close to 2.5 hours or whatever on average. So, okay. Yeah.
I'm paid for this, right?
I will be sending you a valueless no prize very shortly.
I'll expect it.
Excellent. Okay. So, here. So this next one, DC, everybody. So Black Lightning. I always loved the character because even before I started collecting comics, I had been given a pile of comics. But I never got bitten by the bug with that pile of comics, but I still remember them fondly. And one of the comics, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but Marcus is usually good with these details. I believe it was JLA 172. But it was the issue. It was such a memorable issue. It was an issue where it's the first time I ever saw Black Lightning, and the Justice League is testing out Black Lightning by putting him through these tests. They all disguise themselves as different characters, and they attack him as he's walking home one day, and then in the end they tell him, it's just us, the Justice League. We're just testing you because we want to make sure you can cut it as a Justice League member. We want to offer you membership, But it was very memorable. And then he gets pissed off at them for, going about it the wrong way, And he's basically like, he says one of those old, jive turkey things. He calls them a bunch of jive turkeys or something, and says, I don't need you guys, whatever, I'm alone, And then the story ends with them kind of regretting, like, oh, we really could have used the guy like that. So I just thought it was silly, but because of that issue, I always loved the character. And I picked this one up. Back then, a bunch of these old Black Lightning covers were coming up onto the market. And again, here's another crazy thing. Yes, you can see on the left side, it says current owner unknown. And you're used to that with all the stuff that I tend to show on my show and tells, right? But here's the weird thing about that. And let me come back to you guys. If you go on CAF, there's plenty of other Black Lightning covers from that series. So it's not like they all are rare. And so that might explain why mine is rare too. There's a few of them on there. So why is it always mine that's just nobody posts? It's like so bizarre to me, I don't know. It's just whatever. It's bizarre. But whatever. I thought that was fun. And yeah, exactly, Caesar. I get it. Even for me too, by the way. I mentioned it last time. I don't know if you were here when I said it, but I may switch back an hour occasionally during football season, to try to accommodate a little bit better, but that'll have to be decided upon by my choice of whether I'm interested in the teams playing. So, but yeah, you do what you got to do, man. And Mark is, who are jerks? He says jerks. Who's calling them jerks?
JLA.
Oh yeah, right. Thanks, man. Yeah, that's why I need you here. Mono print from Ruben's archives. Yeah, exactly. And I'll sign them for you if you want to. And I promise to never make another copy again. Rich says the man was trying to keep him down. Exactly. Poor Black Lightning. Karl, I love Coletta's inks. Really? Wow, you're gonna get a lot of people in the chat like ripping into you now, especially when he did the romance. Well, that I will give you. That I'll give you. I will say Thor, right? Like a lot of people will say, "Oh, I really love the Journey into Mystery Thor stuff. I love that too." But the romance too, very good stuff. Yeah, yeah. So he gets torn apart by people who love Kirby and they just want to hate on Coletta because of what he did with Kirby. Whatever. I get that, but I give him his due on when he was good. You know. How Bizarre. Remember that song? How Bizarre. I don't know if you're referencing the song, but How Bizarre. I can't remember who sang that, but 90s thing. Yeah, okay. So let me get to the next one. So, oh gosh, talk about regrets. I've had a few. Oh man. So it's not on calf. It's not on calf for some reason because I guess he took it down to be, I don't know, fresh or something. But Michael Browning, I'm pretty sure still owns this. I always loved Ghost Rider, and I love skulls of any kind in illustration. So a flaming skull, even better. But this one, to have been able to get this one, I wish I could have kept this one. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I traded it to a friend of mine. This is one of the rare trades I did. And he kept it for years, but then ultimately parted with it. And I believe then it ended up with Michael. And I'm, like I said, I think Michael still has it. I'm not positive. The last time I checked, he did have it, but I couldn't find it in his gallery. So not sure why he would take it off, but man, I always loved it. It's a very, if you love Ghost Rider, especially the original, the Johnny Blaze version, like it's hard to get a better cover than that. I mean, you see the entire chopper, right? The chopper's on flames, right? I mean, the flaming skulls. He's got the skull going on, right? He's facing you, full figure, and all those crazy freaks surrounding him. I mean, yeah, it's hard to sort of get better than that, in my opinion. Anyways, that was always one of my favorites, you know. So yeah. So sorry.
Is that the last issue of the Ghost Rider?
No, that I believe that was 81, I think.
81. Okay.
Yeah, this is 70. So yeah, it's about a year before it ended.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. Hey Marty, good to see you, my friend. Good evening. Thank you for dropping by. No worries that it's late. Try to catch the episode on Rewind if you have time. I see. So Rick is giving us the down low. He reboots his gallery regularly. Okay, so there you go. I'm sure he'll pop it back in there eventually then. Okay, so let me get to the next one. So what do we have here? The next one. Okay, so this is for you more Bronze Age guys. Yeah, so I thought this was a cool one. I wish this was before I had my large scanner, so I don't have a color scan of it. I thought that was kind of cool. And this was kind of cool back when nobody cared. Again, like the whole Doctor Strange, Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel thing. Nobody really cared about Loki insofar, as anything other than, well, if you're a Thor fan, then yes, you like him as, the antagonist for Thor, and then all of a sudden, whatever, because of the movies and stuff, suddenly he's treated as people want to act like he's this major villain. I don't see him that way. To me, he's always just a major villain for Thor, but in the whole entire pantheon of Marvel, I don't know that you could say he's a major villain, but I always loved him, and I especially loved him when he wore those that horned hat, But yeah, so I thought that was pretty fun. All right, let me go to another. Okay, so I'm going to blow through these quick guys, the next few, because they're John Buscema Conans. There's no need to stick on any of them for any lengthy period of time. But for a little while, I always loved John Buscema. He was one of my favorites. He still is to this day. I love Conan. I've read the entire, Conan the Barbarian plus Savage Sword series. So I wanted to carry John Buscema stuff. And back in those days, the let's say roughly 20 years ago, this stuff was so plentiful. It was so easy to get. Now, this is just some random guy, so not a great splash. Something like this, I probably sold for like $200 at best, maybe even $175. Today, despite the fact that it's not Conan and it's not a recognized character, just because it's a John Buscema splash from Conan, I'll bet that this thing would still sell for like $1,000. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't follow the Buscema Conan market super closely anymore, but yeah, it's just it's crazy that even stuff like this, which used to be considered, again, there's that word crap, right? People would have said, "Oh, this is crap," because the content, right? The character is a nobody, you know. But today, people will still pay up for it, like just because it's Buscema from Conan. It's just, yeah, just weird. So Marcus says villain stuff wasn't hot unless it was Joker, Doom. Exactly. See, Marcus was around back then, so he knows exactly. It's such a important point to make. Nobody cared. Exactly. It was pretty much Doom for Marvel, Joker at DC. Otherwise, there was no premium for anybody else. Nobody really cared. Like, yeah, people cared. People cared to see a villain with the hero, but not in terms of premiums or anything like that. Marty says amazing work on Conan. Exactly. Yeah, it's beautifully drawn, and I love the Ernie Chan inks. JB was master. Exactly. So let me show you the next few. This one is better. Again, no Conan, but of course it's got the gorgeous wench, as they would have called her back then. And I suppose today, if you're speaking about Conan, wench is still probably the word, even though it's not the nicest terminology to use in the Me Too movement. But yeah, beautiful artwork. But yeah, I love how he always just gave individual personalities to all the characters, even if they weren't known characters, even if they were just going to appear and go in the same issue, Yeah, so really love that one. So this one, really love it, because I was always a fan of mythology, like Greek mythology. So I was a big Medusa fan. And to see this male version of Medusa with a club, I was like, yeah, this kicks ass. Like, this is the kind of shit that I'm into, And funny enough, so I'm like, I'm referring to this guy as, oh yeah, that Medusa Man guy, the Medusa Man guy. And it turns out that he's introduced as something like the brown man from the river, which is like so ridiculous. Like, really, you would draw up, or I guess Roy Thomas, I think it was him still writing at this time, but whoever wrote it, you think up this idea for the story, and you clearly have to tell John, hey, so on this page, then we introduce this character who looks like Medusa, but it's a guy, and he's muscular, but he's wearing, he carries a club, really scary face, but he's got the Medusa snakes, right? But his name is the brown man from the river. Really? Like, seriously? That's the best they could have come up with. I mean, this story, the villain wasn't about, Aranga or Mikhail or any of my other brown brothers who we know in this hobby. Heads up, fellas. I know you're not here tonight, so I felt like I could say that and get away with it. But yeah, just crazy shit. I just like, but beautiful. I just thought it was beautiful. And man, brown man from the river. So stupid, but whatever. Marcus says Harryhausen. It looks like a Harryhausen, right on. Caesar says never read much Conan, but technically you never read that much Marvel either, right? So I can't blame you for that. And Rick says, start with the Robert E. Howard books if you ever decide to give Conan a try. See, okay, yeah, there you go. Some advice for him. Rich says, would the male version be called Medusa? Oh, good question. But Marcus will tell you it's Medea. Touche. CJ says, a furry skull Medusa guy. The brown man who lives in the van down by the river. I love Chris Farley, so thank you for that, my friend. Thank you for that. Snakehead, exactly. So it's a couple of minutes till we sign off. Let me just quickly show you the last few, so at least we get to like 30 pieces shown. So another nice one here from Savage Sword of Conan with a nice battle, lots of characters going through it, even though Conan's not on it. But just keep in mind, guys, keep remembering that most of this Buscema stuff for sure was in that probably asking 250 range, no more than that. Certainly the splashes. Here's another one. This one does have Conan on a horse with a whole bunch of other guys. This is quite beautiful, I find. Also probably sold for around 250. And here we go, a couple of pages from Savage Sword 100. I thought these were just really, really nice storytelling pages, and another couple that I had picked up from the same issue. I just thought, I like, people always liked, anniversary issues, 100th issues, 50th issues, that kind of thing. So that's why I wanted to have these on top of the fact that it was, Buscema and Conan, which I love, and you know what? Let me make it 31. This is the 30th slide. Technically now with these are two per slide. You've seen more than 30 pieces now, but I'll show you one more just so we could end Conan. And this one. So this was fun because it was Conan getting stretched out on the rack with an evil wench plus an even eviler, disgusting hag type wench. Thought this was fun, and if I remember correctly, I sold this. Wow, this goes way back, probably to 2003, and I think I sold this to. Oh God, he hangs out. He hangs out on the CGC boards. Sorry, my friend, your name is escaping me at the moment. But I thought it was a fun piece to show, and fun piece to offer collectors back in the day. So. Rick says, do you remember how much the Neal Adams Tomahawk sold for? I don't exactly, Rick, but I can tell you that it probably would have been, first of all, I can tell you I remember pricing it at around 1,800. So I can tell you that for sure. It was 1,800, and I believe it took a while to sell, and I probably sold it because I had to knock it down to an even 1,500. It could have even been the 14, but I think 15 I got for that. And I can tell you that if I'm off by 100 or 2 at most. So yeah, you could probably, just assume around 1,500-ish. Yeah. And Marcus says Savage Sword, higher level of work. And it was more for like a more adult audience as well too. So maybe that had something to do with it, So yeah, let me come back here. Sorry, guys. And here we go. All right. So we got through 31. And just so you guys know, I had uploaded 40, although I've created something like in the 90s. I've already got like 90 something created. So I've got enough easily already created for another 1 or 2 shows. And then there's, like I said, all told, probably enough for like 5 or 6 shows even. Next week, we'll do this again. But of course, now that we got all the intros with Hart and chatting for that first half hour out of the way, next week we'll get into the art quicker, and so we'll be able to see a lot more than 30 scans, and we will. I think if you guys are cool with it, again, being that this isn't network television, anything can change, and if everybody watching is enjoying it while we're doing it, who knows? We may still say, what the hell? We'll do 2 hours again, right? But if you guys want it to be 90 minutes, again, just all you got to do is speak out in the chat. And I try to go with the consensus. If more people want to do these quicker, have quicker show and tells, I'll do it. But yeah, we'll see. 90 minutes to 2 hours, but it definitely won't be the usual sort of 2.5, whatever. So, thank you so much, Karl. Mahalo, and thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And tune in again next week, please, because we will continue it next week. Facebook game is pretty much over. Football game. Yeah. What am I? I'm so tired from the trip. I'm so tired. Football game is pretty much over anyways with the Packers league. Okay, whatever. I get it. I know. But there's I've been trying to keep the shows short, and as you guys know, I fail most of the times, and even for me, I agree. Like they average about 2.5 hours. It's a lot, right? And even though my guests are always usually really cool and they're cool to stay as long as I need to stay, I know that the viewers prefer oftentimes to make it shorter, especially on Rewind, because we remember, you guys, the Rewind people, they go to the channel to see, hey, let me see what show he did this week, and they get to see immediately how long it went. And when they see 2.5 hours, well, not everybody has that much time to spend. So they may say, forget it, I can't do it. And I don't get the views, or they might fast forward through it really quickly or whatever, you know. So that's it. So we'll call it a night for now. But you can count on Hart. Thank you, by the way. Thank you, Hart. Appreciate you, bud.
Pleasure.
For doing this with me. Hart will be my guest again next week and potentially in future shows, show and tells for this inventory show and tell thing that I'm doing. He has already said he'd be happy to do it. And I would love to have you. So I guess I'm good with that, you know. But again, I will not be doing them, you know, 5 or 6 weeks in a row. So it'll be this week and next Sunday. And then I'll see when the next ones will continue. But we'll take a break so we can put different types of content so nobody gets tired and bored or whatever, you know. So thank you, Maki Poo, as usual. Thank you, all of you guys, man. Thank you, Rick. CJ, thank you. And thanks for being always so kind to my wife and daughter. That's very, very awesome of you. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, David. Thank you. I appreciate you. Dewey, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Hart, way to go. There you go. Exactly. There you go. Yeah, there you give him some love, guys. Come on, Hart's awesome. I did too much talking. Next week I'll let Hart talk more. How about that? So I'll try to shut up.
Babble.
There you go. And thank you, Marcus. I appreciate you as always, my friend. Really, really appreciate it. So yeah, that's it. Nothing else to say, guys, other than please tune in next week if you can. If you're not going to watch the football or what have you, if you've got the time, tune in next week. Yeah, and we'll probably do it at 8:00 again next week, but stay tuned and I'll let you guys know. All right, guys, so thank you very much and have a good night, and we will see you next week or in other shows. Oh, and don't forget again, Friday, Nick Barucci, and let me just show you one last time, everybody. Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/theexp. Fun show. So check it out if you haven't. And that's it, guys. So thank you again to everyone. And we shall see you all next. Let me pop this thing back up, even though it's for tonight. It'll probably be a similar graphic, guys, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Oh, thanks, guys. See you next week.
Bye.